Okay, we're recording. This is. Whoa. Hello, did you hear that?
Yeah, sorry, weird French alert about the recording, I guess.
Good. It's good to have that confirmed. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 37. We have Victor from Paris. How you doing?
Doing great. And you?
Good, yeah. Tell us where you are.
I'm actually in Montreuil, which is a suburb town really next to Paris. I'm in my living room in my house on the last day of my forced vacation because I'm going back to work tomorrow.
Ooh. And what do you think about that?
Well, I'm glad because that means that finally we can reopen theaters and cinema, at least. Still have to wait for gigs and venues and clubs. But yeah, it's something. But I kind of like the vacations.
Yeah. Everyone was secretly liking it in the end, I think. So, Victor, we met because Victor puts shows on in Paris with a bunch of other people. So it's not just Victor. There's other people. Antoine is one of them, and I think there was a little crew of them. Maybe the people vary through the years. I think we probably first met around 2012.
11 or 12, I would say.
Yeah, because we Colossus have played Paris. I don't even know how many times now. Quite a lot, actually, isn't it?
Quite
I don't know.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm going to say, 7 maybe?
I would say, yeah, 7 or 8. I think I only missed the last one when you played the Supersonic.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. Must have been 7 or 8.
Yeah, and you've essentially put them all on, maybe apart from that last one, which happened some other way. I don't even know. I don't even know how it happened, but yeah.
Maybe one was just Antoine or Antoine with another crew, but I was at the gig, so it felt the same.
Yeah. And you've been putting gigs on in Paris since when?
2010. So yeah, for a decade at least. I haven't put on a gig in 2020. I played a gig in January 2020, but that wasn't a gig I put on. It was actually my girlfriend, Amandine, who was putting her first gig on.
Wow.
So yeah, I've done it for less than a decade. I'm actually not sure that I will take that back when it's possible, but we'll have to see. I don't know. The last couple years of doing it, I was mainly doing it just for friends. And I was kind of, I don't know, I wanted to do something else, I guess. Started off something like I really wanted to do it just because I wanted to see the bands that I was sure wouldn't be able to play in Paris if I didn't step up. So, and of course, you do that several years and you kind of start getting habits and stuff, and begins to feel like always doing the same thing, maybe. So in the end, I was always glad to put friends' bands on, but I don't know, it kind of started getting too much like a job, which it never was, and I never wanted to be like that. I never earned money through that, and I never had the desire to work in the music industry. So I don't know. I'll have to see about doing it again.
Yeah.
I'm actually much more looking forward to play, which
Yeah,
I haven't done a lot.
Tell me about that. I didn't know about that.
We started playing with a band that we call Claude in late 2018 or early 2019. Can't remember. We played only a handful of gigs, like 4 or 5. But that was something I really, really enjoyed. My only previous experience was like 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago with Antoine. We had a short-lived band. We only did like 4 or 5 gigs in a year, something like that.
So just say the band name again, maybe spell it.
The band name with Antoine was Hachette Caput.
Okay, and the new one?
And the actual band is Claude, like the
Claude,
surname. Yeah.
as in the name of a person. Right. Okay. What sort of thing?
Uh, weird, weird rock improv music, I would say.
All right. Cool.
Like noisy, but not noise rock. I would say it's two guitars, a bass, and a drum. So of course there is a rock-ish feeling about it, but we're four really different people. So we have four different ways of even enjoying the music. That's what I really like about it. But there is a really strong feeling when we play in the same room together, and I think that's what at least I want to keep doing, like just working on that feeling of the four of us making a racket together.
Yeah.
So it's not about songs, it's not about jam exactly, but it's somewhere in between, I would say.
Cool. Excellent. No, well, it's good. So you've put on a lot of British bands from our world.
True.
So I know that people who watch this all know you and very much appreciate you and what you've done for like a lot of bands that I know in Paris. You and Antoine and the rest, putting the gigs on in Espace B or those other venues, even the odd ones that we shouldn't have been playing in, like the marble floored basement of that restaurant, for instance. We can talk about that. But I know you've put on a lot of British bands, and I know that we all love sort of turning up and seeing you there, sort of shuffling around outside, smoking and whatnot. You always supply really good food. The venue's always really good. People turn up, stay at yours after. It's always absolutely marvelous. So, what other British bands have you put on?
Besides HColossus, Part Chimp a few times. Damn, I should have done my homework for that. Lower Slaughter.
Yeah.
Gray Hairs, but I think that was with HColossus.
Yeah, we did play with them. Yeah.
Henry Blacker at least twice.
Right. Yeah, can't remember.
British band. Sweet Williams.
All right. Yeah. Did you put Sly and the Family Drone on?
Yeah, Sly and the Family Drone at least twice. Yeah. Shield Your Eyes. I couldn't. Maybe less than HColossus, but quite sometimes. I think we have at Steph solo at least once or twice too. British bands. What else? I'm sure I'm forgetting quite some.
Yeah. Well, if you remember them through the course of our talk, just shout them out, because it's interesting, and I think there are more.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because when we first went to when you first put us on, we stayed in your house, and I have a feeling it was around 2011, 2012, as we said, and we in your toilet on the wall. So we go. It was just flyers of essentially what looked like UK shows in your wall, and it was all sort of bands like Charlottefield and band like Ligament and bands like that. And it was so weird for us to walk into this toilet on the outskirts of Paris to see this. And then when we were speaking to you, you told us your age. And how old were you then?
When we met, if it was 2011, I was 20.
Yeah, so like massively young. And it just blew our minds, and it was really excellent. It's really weird. Yeah. But anyhow, suffice to say, we all love coming to Paris and playing for things that you put on. So thank you very much for doing this talk. Because
you're welcome, and I hope it will happen soon again. I'm really missing it.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. So your job then? Tell us about your job.
I'm a film curator and a film projectionist, and I've been working at the same art house cinema in the Latin Quarter in the Fifth for a decade now. So I mainly co-curate the place actually, and so it's about watching movies and picking the one that I think will fit the place. Doing a lot of retrospective, special screenings, events, and stuff. And for the last couple years, actually since 2018, I started working in film festival. So I worked at 2 different film festivals, and that was stuff that was for me really a bummer. Work related stuff of the pandemic is that I lost this work in festival because of course most of our festivals are really struggling, even harder than venues and theaters. So yeah, it was that was really a bummer because I was kind of seeing myself doing more of that in the future, and that's not happening so far.
Yeah. Sure, it'll come back. I know that you're a big film lover, and it, yeah, I was wondering if you did you do you tuck into soundtracks? Do you buy soundtracks of film?
Weirdly, not that much.
No, I'd
I
never noticed it because having spent a lot of time in your house, and I spend a lot of time going through people's record collections when we stay at their place, and your record collection, yeah, I never really noticed a big amount of that.
Not that much. I think it's some I might have moved that genre. Where is that? I'll quickly count them because I think it's less than 10. Yeah, here it is. All of my soundtracks records.
Yeah, that's
So
weird, isn't it?
it's actually 5.
Yeah, because it's quite a big thing at the minute. Soundtracks. Every film, TV program, cartoon, the soundtrack is being reissued by some label or other.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I have an explanation of the fact that I'm not that much into it. There are some soundtrack. I think there is only one soundtrack that I really bought because I loved the music, loved the film. It's that one, The Good Time by the Safdie Brothers, and the soundtrack is by Honeo Tricks Point Never. Not sure I'm saying it right. Which is a musician which I usually don't like the work. It's the only record by him I have, and yeah, I really love the music, and I don't know, the record looked cool, and you have a Iggy Pop song on it, which is made for the film. So that one I bought, but I think that's the only soundtrack I bought new. Because that one I got at work. There is that one which I have, and I haven't seen the movie yet.
And is that a music and video exchange sticker in the top corner?
Yeah, I have quite some of that.
Everyone's got them.
I have The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
And I have Lili Marlene. So that's like German musical music. Right. That's the Fassbinder movie. And yeah, I think the only one I haven't shown is that one, which is a indie movie from a decade ago, and we released the movie, so I got the record at work. I might have a 10-inch of soundtrack actually somewhere from a recent movie, but where is that? I don't know.
Everyone loses the 10 inches. We'll get onto that towards the end.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm talking about it right now.
So do you think you associate the image with the sound so closely that you don't see any point in the soundtrack?
Maybe
but on its own, I mean, on its
like
own.
That. I don't know. I've never tried to relieve the movie by listening to the music. For a Good Time, I think the music was so good that of course it was conveying like memories of the movie, but I really loved the music as a separate object. Which is, I mean, of course I can love scores or music. I might have some CDs actually. When I was younger, I did get like Tarantino's soundtrack on CDs, stuff like that. I might have like a dozen CDs of soundtracks. Maybe some Jarmusch soundtrack too. The Broken Flowers soundtrack, which I remember is really good. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I found some records of some scores, I would get them. But that's rarely something I pursue on willingly, I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I think. Weird. So not soundtracks. You've obviously got a lot of records, and when we've woken up at your house in the morning, you've often got a record on, and you're pottering in the kitchen, and like there's sounds that go through the whole flat or wherever we are. And twice I've woken up and thought, what the hell's this? I need to buy it. Once I did buy it, and the other time I never got round to it. The one I never got round to was when Blacker played. We played with Lois Slaughter, and we stayed at yours, and Lois Slaughter, I think, stayed at Antoine's. And you were playing, what was it you were playing? Can you remember? It was it Ursula?
Yeah, that's it. I think I wrote to you about it a year ago, something like that, because I'm not sure it's easily diggable.
No, it really stuck in my mind though. It just sounded so beautiful, and I'm yet to buy it. It's in like all my baskets all over the place on the internet. If I log into any site, it's just right there. And I've never bought it, but one I did buy, which I do have here, is one you were playing, and it's the Oxbow album.
Yeah.
There you go. Because you were playing it in your house that morning, and it wouldn't have even occurred to me probably to check out a latest Oxbow release for some reason. I don't know why, which might not have crossed my mind, but when you were playing it, it sounded so damn good.
And it's a great record.
It really is a great record.
Really great record. It's their most like pop sounding, I would say. Got this beautiful like horns and string arrangements, and it's a beautiful record, which is something I don't say often about records, I would say.
No. If anything, it's a little bit cinematic in places, because it's kind of
it is.
It's like almost Nick Cavey and whatever else in its own.
Yeah, that's true. That was a bit the case of the previous one. That one is the Sin Black Duke. Can't remember the title of the previous one, which is somewhere here, I guess. Yeah, that one, the Narcotic Story.
Oh yeah.
Started a bit to sound like really cinematic. You had the feeling that they wanted to integrate more and more arrangements and stuff in their music. And I think if you go through the liner notes of the Narcotic Stories, there is even a talk about a movie being made from the characters and stuff. And I think that never happened. And then it took them more than a decade to do the Sin Black Duke, which kind of pursue that sound, but goes even in more like mellow place and quieter songs.
Yeah.
And I think they finished a new one, but we'll see. Maybe we'll have it in 8 or 9 years. I don't know.
No rush, lads. Yeah. The other thing that I was always jealous of in your house is you had the Husker Du box set really early on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, and I've never got around to buying it because it's always been like £100 or some like quite big amount of money. And
can't remember. I bought it when it was released, so yeah, it must have been like at least 80 euros. Stuff like that. And then usually I don't enjoy that much the big box stuff because it takes so much place, and you end up never listening to the whole stuff. But that box is like, everything is really good. I think I have maybe 4 boxes like that. I have the Euskardu, I have the Codeine one, which is also a numero group. I have a Mayhem box, but it's just the first albums, and I have a Beast of Bourbons one, which is also like 3 albums. So it's not like stuff full of like outtakes or demos, which I'm rarely into. Like,
no, I agree. Like, if it's not on the album, it's not good enough, right? Because I knew that I was going to mention that, I did bring one up. It's going to look terrible on camera. It's the Unwound Empire box set.
Yeah,
I love the unwound chunklet designed ones on Numero. I think.
Yeah, I guess
look good on camera.
For you, just like the Ursula Le Guin record, I have it like in many like Discogs, one stuff, but never, I don't know, found the need to get it.
No. I think the unwound ones. I think the unwound ones are good. They come with a really lovely booklet.
Yeah.
And they do them. It's done really nicely. There's
it's Numero Group again, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, they do great work.
Yeah, I think there's maybe 4 of them, 4 of the unwound box.
Which is also maybe why I didn't started getting it, because if you've got one, you need the others.
I've got 3. I need 1 more. It's a nightmare. I don't know. But okay, so we're here to talk about records. I've got a couple of other things I'm going to talk to you about as we go on. But let's go through the subjects I sent you. Talk about all that stuff. So, hit me with a record from your favorite record shop.
Okay, that was actually a tricky one, because I've got favorite record shops. Of course, I would think of 3 right away in Paris, which would be Music Fear Satan, Le Souffle Continu, and Born Bad record shop. But those 3 record shops, which are part of my, like, not daily, that would be scary, but like a regular record shopping routine, they are mainly a record shop where I get the new stuff. Like, so of course I would from time to time talk with the owners and discover something that I wouldn't come to buy. But usually when I go to this place, it's because I know they have something that was released and I want to buy it. So that's why I picked something different from a record shop, which I think I've been maybe once or twice before the record I'm going to talk about. But yeah, so these 3 are really important record shops for me. But for me to have a favorite record shop, that would mean something that's more than just buying the new records I came here to buy. I don't know if I'm really clear about that. But so the records I picked, it's from a record shop in Paris called Pop Culture Shop, which is also a comic book place, and I think they sell like goodies from comic books and stuff like that. I never looked into it. And they have quite a good selection of new records, but they have also loads of secondhand records, which is something that is for me really missing in Paris. We don't have that much really good secondhand records. And I actually went there because I think I saw a video on Facebook. Loads of record shop are actually in Paris, at least, doing it right now. Is that they will just like shoot a small video about the new stuff.
Going through the records.
Yeah.
No, I watched them.
I saw they had that record, which is a Sonny Sharrock, and it's actually the only record where it's written Sonny and Linda Sharrock, which was his wife at the time. So he's a great like free jazz guitar player who's got like this excessively aggressive sounding, and that record is even weird by standards, because it's also an attempt of like funk soul records, but with these really sharp guitar tones. Her singing is also really like throaty, and it's both like sexy and aggressive records. It's a really weird one, but I love it.
Right.
And as I was buying that record, the owner started talking to me about Sonny Sharrock and the fact that he really loved his work, and he handed me that one, which is from a band called Brute Force, which I never heard about. And it's actually one of the first recording of Sonny Sharrock. So it's a soul jazz record, which is much quieter than the stuff that he did after, but you already hear him working on his sharp guitar sound. So, and I listened to a track of it at the shop and said, yeah, I'll take it. And I was really glad to have that kind of interaction with a record shop owner that I didn't know. And he was already pointing me towards a record that I wasn't there to get. So that's why I picked that one.
You have to like, it's that juggling that fine line, isn't it? You're in there, and you're sort of half of you thinking, are they just trying to sell me stuff? or are they trying to point me in the good direction?
Mm.
You have to like
Yeah.
trust them.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's worked out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who talks about Sonny Shark? Not that much people, I would say. So yeah, I was really glad that he offered that record, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. It's great. I didn't know about it, so I was really glad about that.
Yeah. Have you got other Sonny Sharrock records?
Yeah, I have one that I actually bought in Japan from vacations I took years ago, and I found not his best from his 80s era. So the production is really 80s, but the record is still really good. And I have the last one, which is with Pharoah Sanders, which was re-released a couple years ago, which I think is
Hive Mind. Hive Mind.
sold out and stuff. But it's really, really good.
Yeah. Is it called Ask the Ages?
Yeah, that's it. Amazing album.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a double pressed 45 RPM as well, isn't it?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, because I think it was on CD initially.
I guess so. Yeah, I never even heard the records before I got that reissue, so
yeah,
it must have been.
So if anyone was watching, I think that was on Hive Mind Records. You can go and find that. It's really good.
And I also have a couple albums by the band he had with Peter Botsman, which is called Last Exit.
Oh yeah.
I think I have like at least 2 records by them, and that band is crushing. It's really violent and really good.
Yeah, that way, like, as a saxophone player, he really blows the hell out of that thing, doesn't he? So the combination of him and Sonny Sharrock on guitar is a macho aggression face-off. Yeah. Actually, we played with Peter Botsman. We played with him in at Cable Fest in France.
Oh, in Nantes, right?
Yeah. About possibly the night after you put us on, or around that time. It was 2000.
Yeah, it must have been on one of the first gigs I had.
Yeah. Tim Cedar was drumming, so it was 2012 or 13.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. And it was we played with Peter Botsman went on before us, and after him was Keith Fullerton Whitman. And then we played. Yeah, that was at Cable. Really excellent. But on that, I have a feeling at that gig in Paris, you can tell us about what happened, because we played in that really strange venue.
Are you talking about Le Café de Paris?
It was in the basement of some.
Yeah. What I think that was the second gig I put on with you, because I remember the first being Espace B.
Yes.
And in I think for you it didn't went that well, because I do remember that years after that, for another gig, when I told you that it will be at Espace B, you were like not sure about going back there. But the place had been improved.
They had a decibel meter. They had a
yeah. When the first time you played, it was there, and then it disappeared because the people who took care of it after got that shit together, and it was a much better place to do heavy music.
Yeah.
But must have been the second times or third times, can't remember. I think second when you played at Café de Paris, which was one of those dumb gigs I'd love to do, because that was you, Jealousy Mountain Duo from Germany, Susan Silver from Italy, and I think One Lick Less from Paris was opening. So that was 4 bands, 3 on different tours, and that was a small place where I think you guys couldn't even fit all your gears, and so, and of course it went late, and of course it was too loud. So I think the owners were behind me after your first song, because you went on last, and it was too much for them, I guess. But yeah,
it was and the thing is, it was all marble. If I remember rightly, the floor was marble, the wall, everything was like, the sound was just, it was like playing in a nightmare chamber.
I don't remember. Maybe that was the only time I put a gig on there. maybe there was another time. I haven't even seen that much gig there. I think a couple times. It's it's not good for music.
No, Spasby. I like a Spasby now though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good spot. In fact, if am I right in thinking that that place had to close for a bit even before the
Yeah.
lockdown?
Yeah, at least a year because they had security issues about like exit doors that wasn't the right size, and their exit doors were, I think, going through a courtyard of the building next to them, so they couldn't like do the work because it wasn't their doors. So, and then the team that was in place at the moment of the first closing, they went out. They went to found the other jobs. So there was also the case of getting a new team together, and then it reopened, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Like not that long, maybe less than a year after that. So yeah,
Yeah.
tough shit.
God damn. Okay, hit me with a record with memories.
Which one is that again? All of them, I think, in my stack kind of work, but I picked that one because the memory is really funny.
Oh yeah, great record. Yeah.
Because so actually, the memory doesn't involve me and the record directly. That was you mentioned the first flat with the flyers on the toilet walls, and then I moved to a bigger house where we always lived at least three boys. There was a revolving cast of characters, but that was always like three boys living there. So yeah, party and stuff, of course. And there was one time where I think I spent the night at my girlfriend's place. And when I get back to the house in the morning, I found one of my roommates, which looked like really hangover. So we talked about it, blah, blah, blah. And at one moment, he mentioned that he came back from, I think it was a party or gig, can't remember. But he did say that he listened to that record a bit loud when he was alone, enjoying a last drink before going to bed. And turned out that he listened to it so loud that a neighbor came and didn't even like try to talk. He was yelling, like really yelling. And we told him to fuck off. And the next day we were woken up by the same neighbor who had a big hammer in his hand and tried to break the door to get in and fuck us up. So didn't happen. But now I still have that question every time I listen to the record: is how loud was it? I really want to know how loud was he listening to it so that that stuff happened. So that's it.
It's a great record. I can
It's a
understand
great
wanting it
record.
loud.
Yeah.
What's that song on there? Is it Staying Out in the Summer? What's the song?
Yeah, that's
What's it called? Is that
Play in the Summer.
in the summer?
Yeah, that's really weird because the last time I listened to the record a couple weeks or months ago, I was actually looking for the melody of the song you're mentioning. I had it stuck in my head for weeks, and I remember, oh, maybe that's Transam, maybe that's on that record, and it's actually not even something that's going back several times in the song. It's one moment, one few seconds in the song, and I don't know, it popped up in my brain and
That's
drove me
interesting because
crazy.
I think that I've got songs like that. There's
Mm.
a Redman album. There's a Redman album called "There Is a Dark Side," right?
Mhm.
It's kind of a rip off of Funkadelic because I think his head is buried in the sand and it's just poking up like this. And there's a song on it called "We Run New York."
Mhm.
It's just like a hip hop song, but halfway through there's like 4 or 5 little beeps of a computer melody, and it just goes do 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 like this in this song, and they do it once, and it's the reason I'll listen to a whole album because I love that little bit so much. It's almost like the
Yeah.
centerpiece of almost a whole shelf of my records is this 1 second. It's really weird, isn't it, how it can do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that playing the summer song, I love the sort of the rhythm of it, the
Yeah.
guitars, do do do
Yeah.
do 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 like this, and you can just, yeah, man, you'd love to see it live now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen them, and it was weird because it was in a big, big auditorium place, and it was a seating gig.
Okay.
That that they killed it
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
because I think they can put it off anywhere. But that was weird, really weird.
Yeah. What's of the gigs that you've put on in the 10-year time that you've been putting
Mhm.
shows on? Any really stand out as being totally memorable for good reasons? For good reasons.
I think first of all, I don't have bad memories of shows I put on. Uh, of course, sometimes there was this depressing ones where no one showed up, but I think even the one where I only had one person paying to see the gig was a great memory. So yeah, I maybe I've forgotten about the one that I didn't like, but I think every time I did it, I had a great time. And I don't know, there is so much. Of course, maybe having come on the reunion tour they did was something really, really beautiful.
Wow.
Even so that after that, I had the pleasure to have Talia Zedek came back with a few different projects, Chris Brock also. So that was like a really great moment where you have a really strong musical experience, and it turned out to also be a great human experience after that. So of course, that's always a great memory. Um, yeah, I wouldn't know actually.
Where did
Do
they play?
sorry.
Where did you put Come On?
That was at Les Instants Chavirés.
Right. Right. Do I know that place? Have I been there? No.
Yeah, you've played there. You've played there at least once or twice with HColossus.
Oh, is it the kind of the modern sort of place?
Sorry.
Is it kind of the modern sort of?
A bit, yes, yes. It's kind of a small venue. The stage is not really high up, and you have the sort of back room upstairs
Yeah.
under the roof.
Yeah, I like it there. It's good.
Yeah, that's my favorite venue in the Paris area because the sound is always incredible. The sound guy there is a magician, and yeah, their program outside of the people that can put on from the outside is always really good because it started as a jazz and experimental club in the 90s, and it's still carrying that tradition, but it's also really open to loads of like new and extreme music, and that's, yeah, and I love the place. And it's also in Montreuil, so that's one of the few venues which I can walk to, which is
nice. Yeah, because what's good about that place, what seems to be good about that place, is it looks like it's been purpose built.
Yeah,
it's sort of, so there doesn't seem to be any, there are people living around it, but there's not like someone living above it, or there's not like a neighbor right here.
Yeah,
it's and also it looks like you can, it's not, like you say, it's not big, so I don't know what the capacity is, but I doubt it's more than 150.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you only need 50 in there, and it's decent. Yeah. So it's good. Yeah, and the room upstairs. That's the other thing about doing a Victor gig, is Victor makes great food. He turns up with plates of marvelous food.
Which is funny because, yeah, I've always enjoyed cooking, but especially since, well, coronavirus and stuff, I've cooked loads of stuff, and I realized that, yeah, my cooking 10 years ago must not have been that good.
Oh, I don't. Well, you have to remember, if you've just driven like 8 hours to get somewhere, the food is going to be good. Almost no,
Yeah.
almost.
I get it.
But actually, it was good. It was good. We have good memories. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, hit me with a bargain find.
I think I picked several. Yeah, because first off, since I kind of dissed on the favorite record shop place in Paris, saying that I have some, but they're not my favorite, and blah blah blah, I actually picked a bargain find that I got in Souffle Continu just like 2 weeks ago. It's the split of the Dead Sea and Konono #1
on Fat Cat.
Fat Cat, yeah, that's it. So actually, the name tags was put by the record shop, because if you don't have the name tags, you don't know which bands are on the split. I think they had like 8 or 10 records in that series. Yeah. So I was like, they had a guy who I think dumped, what did he tell again? Like the doubles in his collections. Like, do you have doubles of Dead Seas and Richard Dawson and Consumer Electronics records? I guess some people do. So I got a few records, and that one was like €7, which is really cheap. For I don't even know if that goes for great prices, but I don't care. I was really glad just to find it there. And yeah, that was to make it up to Le Souffle Continu, which is a really great place in Paris. But the real pick I got is actually British bands, which I did put a gig on, and I didn't remember.
There you go.
But that old Terminal Cheesecake.
Oh yeah.
I think the first 2 albums, or yeah, those are 2 albums, which I got in Tokyo in a disc union. Which I don't know if you've heard of the place.
I've heard of, never been.
Yeah, it's a record shop that's on several levels. Actually, when you're moving from punk records to jazz records, you have to take an elevator. So it's quite an experience. And I was there on vacation years ago. And I was really glad that I had to do Tokyo at the end. So, because that's the place where you have most record shop maybe in the world. And if I did that at the beginning of the vacation, I would have fucked my budget. So, and also I would have to carry all the stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was on a really tight budget. So going for the cheap records, I would say. Those 2 were in actually like buy 2 get 1 for free kind of box. So I found one and was like, yeah, cool. I really want it. Now I need to find 2 extra records to make the deal work. And I found another Terminal Cheesecake, which was actually really funny. And I can't remember which other record I took. Might have been a Hate Coats or something like that. But those 2 records were like, I was really glad to find it there, and to find the 2 of them together was so funny.
Did you buy that? Did you buy those before putting Terminal Cheesecake on?
Yeah, I think so. Because at that time, I'm not even sure they had gotten back together.
Right.
Might be around that time. I can't even remember the year of the travel to Japan. Was that 2015? Yeah, must have been around the time. And I think the gig we did with Antoine for Terminal Cheesecake was years later, 2017, 18, something like that.
How was that?
Loud. Loud and crazy. But yeah, it was great. I've seen them actually a few times. The first time was in Sonic Protest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Years ago, which was also the first time I saw the Rubble. So that was a great night. I've seen them at least another time. They played again at Sonic Protest. I've seen them in Rennes at a festival that the Webzine was that the Webzine? No, I think that was from the promoting an association called K-Fuel. I don't know if you've played with them in Rennes. It's been going on for years, and they had a festival on the weekend, and the Terminal Cheesecake was there, and that was that time where we had them at l'Espace B. To talk about British bands, we've put on Luminous Bodies, which is related to Terminal.
Yeah. You'll remember more. You'll remember more in time. Don't worry. I've got a feeling that Gordon and Tracy live in France now. From Luminous Bodies.
So. Yeah, might have been. I don't remember talking too much to them.
No, they They're a French band now. They're a French band.
Mm.
I don't know that they live somewhere. I don't actually know where they live, but sometimes I see pictures and they seem to be by the coast. So they live in France somewhere now.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. French band. Luminous Body. Okay, so the next one that I talk about now is Bought on Tour. I'm not sure what sort of touring you've done, but I know you've traveled.
Yeah, that was a tricky one. So yeah, I've already talked about traveling and getting record, which is, I think, like some people who are obsessed about records like us must have done, is that I've actually planned some vacation or weekend trips around record shopping. And I've also had to like inflict my record shopping obsession with the people I was traveling on. So I've did quite some. But I didn't choose something like that because I already talked a bit about that. And touring, I've only done a weekend tour with Antoine and good times, but I don't think we bought record on that stuff. But I did pick, and sorry, it's gonna be a long one because that's actually several records. In 2013, so yeah, I've been already doing gigs for at least a few years. I've had the brilliant idea, which some people putting on gigs have already been exposed, is to put on a gig for my birthday. So it was in June, and we were playing with Antoine with a chat kaput. And there was, again, a brilliant stuff I love to do. I think 3 bands on different tours on the same night. I found a place because all the usual venues were booked. It was June, so it's always a big time to tour. And so I end up finding the contact of someone in a huge squat, which apparently was great to do gigs. And I'll skip some part because that's really a nightmare stuff. But like 3 days before the gig, this venue bailed out. Turned out the guy who booked me didn't have the right to book me. I spent the day touring the place, trying to talk to people. Turned up a Kafkaian moment. I even ended up in another squat, which they give the number, blah, blah, blah. That was weird. So it ended up being a house show, not at my place, but at my previous flat, which is the one you mentioned with the flyer, because I passed it on to a guy I knew, and I think he did it twice or maybe a couple times before I asked. So I kind of felt like, what can I do if I want it to happen? I need something reliable. So we had a house show for my birthday with me playing and 3 bands touring, and it was good. It was fun, and no like neighbors or police trouble, which was
with hammers.
Yeah,
hammers.
that was before that. That was before the hammer. But yeah, that was a good memory. I also end up, I think that was after that, doing a house show in the house we were living in. No hammer there, but yeah, another good one. I realize now that putting on gigs was really about me being young and dumb sometimes, but that was part of the fun, I guess. So yeah, about the records, to get back to that, is that the 3 bands that were playing were all releasing a record on that tour. So of course I ended up getting all of them. So first of them was that 7-inch by a French band called Total Eclipse, which is a band that is composed of 3 guys that all have loads of other musical projects, and I think I'll talk a bit again about one of them after. It's kind of a proggish punk indie band.
Okay.
Another band that would come up to mind would be Triclops. Triclops? Sorry again.
No. I don't know.
Bay Area band that was released on Alternative Tentacles, early 2000, I would say. So yeah, that kind of like clever, smart, weird punk music, like punk music that has 8-minute songs.
Right.
It's really good.
Right.
They did an album after the 7-inch, and I'm not sure they're still playing together now. And then there was Nicofane from Germany,
Cool.
which is I think really unknown band, but that does a rather extreme brand of noise rock, which would be both free and with a drumming that's really like Storm and Stress or Don Caballero. I think you actually played with another band from the drummer York, because after that it was in Jealousy Mountain Duo, who
Okay.
also played at the Café de Paris basement gig we
Yeah.
talked about. So that was, yeah, Total Eclipse, Nicofane. And then there was an Australian band called Degreaser, which is with Tim Evans. And I got to know them because the bass player was Christian Brenchley or Benchley, I don't remember, who was in that band called Woman,
Oh, yeah.
who released an album that I think everyone who digs like Birthday Party and stuff must have heard in 2009, something like that. And actually, they didn't get the vinyl, so I got that was a CD. And then a year after, they released the album called Rougher Squaler on vinyl. And I realized, actually prepping for this, that the CD is quite different from the stuff that was released on vinyl. So I don't know if that's like demos or earlier version of it, but it's most of it is the same songs, but it sounds rougher. Like, I think you can hear more guitar lines, more fuzz, a bit more work on the vinyl, but I mean, it's still like garagey swamp Australian rock, so we're not talking about Genesis stuff here. But and actually, that was also like that rarely happens these days, but there is zero info on the internet about that CD. I haven't found a version of it. It's not mentioned on Discogs or anything, so I don't know. I love both of them, but realizing the CD is like maybe something that they had like only for the tour or something like that. Yeah, really weird, because it's really happens this day. I always have the feeling that even when a band has like this super special limited edition, it will be on Discogs 20 minutes after some guy bought it at the merch table. So
yeah, it's true. What? Yeah, you do a test press. Test presses go on there. Everything goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other day I saw a test press from an album that wasn't even released. I mean, the only entry of the album on Discogs is just a test press. So yeah, that's the point.
Actually, seeing as you just mentioned French band there, Total Eclipse. What other? Tip us off to some other French.
Yeah. I'll keep that one for another question later. I've only picked 3, but yeah, some other French people will be brought up answering other questions. The first record I pick it's got a really nice cover.
What is going on there? I can't. Is that an ass?
It's an ass and an egg under it. And it's a band called Heliogabal, which is the band name is a reference to a book by Antoine Artaud. So we're in really French territory there. And the cover is actually another reference to another French writer called Georges Bataille. Really, really French.
Yes, 100% French.
Double LP that was released not that long ago, actually, because it was those 2 records from the 90s were only released on CD. So you have the other side, and that's called 2P. And I picked that one because as a young guy getting into noise rock, indie rock. I was, of course, mainly attracted to American
Mm.
English music, and really didn't have an ear for French singing music. So I, yeah, wasn't that into what was going on in France, musically speaking.
Mm.
Mainstream or underground didn't occur to me to make a difference at that time. Really young. And that band, Elio Gabal, was the first French band I heard doing noise rockish music that I liked. And even so, they were like older. I saw them actually later. I even had them play at a gig I put on quite later. But when I discovered them, they might have been still releasing music. I can't remember. So yeah, that was that moment when something that you like and you kind of fantasize about that's going away somewhere that you don't have access, you realize that yeah, it's happening also near you, around you, and you can actually put your hand on it.
Yeah.
And I was not living in Paris at the moment. I was living in Reims, which is a smaller town, not really small, but it's a boring town. Nothing happened
Uh,
that much, so I wasn't really exposed to DIY underground at the moment growing up in Reims. It happened later when I moved to Paris, and then I
mm.
realized some stuff were happening in Reims, but I had to leave it to realize it. Always
Right.
weird stuff. But yeah, so that band was really important because it made me realize that it doesn't have to be something like exotic in a way. So that was really important because from that I started, yeah, getting to know other bands that did the same thing in the 90s, like Sister Iodine or Bastard and bunch of stuff. And
Mm.
then being aware of that, I started paying attention to bands that were actually playing around me at the moment, and then moved to Paris, and then of course discovered French band playing live and getting to know people, which ended up being people that I did put gigs
Yeah.
on with and had to support in different ways, like putting gigs on, buying the records, following their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was an important moment musically, I would say. And one of those bands was Café Flèche,
Okay.
which was also
I dumped
again,
my wife. I killed my dog.
yeah, that's their second record. And I think the next information I'll get will talk a lot about the kind of music they played. Their first record, which was only released on CD around 2005, 6, I would say, something like that. I knew them with that record, with the second one, 2008, I would say, maybe 2009. I can't remember. And the first album, which was only released on CDs, they asked the permission to put the MREP logo on it.
Really?
Yeah, so it wasn't an MREP release. I think at that time the label was really dormant. It was
Right.
years before he started doing his expensive re-release stuff that he does these days. And so yeah, that's we have a noise rock, like, yeah, trucker noise rock music.
And it's so they AMREP said yes.
I think so. Yeah. Um, can't remember all of the anecdotes around that, but I guess yeah, they emailed him and he said, "Yeah, sure, if you like it, it's fine."
Guided by Voices did that. The early Guided by Voices records that they released themselves.
Mm.
They just put other labels on the back. They're just like, yeah, this is on some.
And so Cafe Flesh was one of the bands that I discovered, and so that was like late, yeah, 2008, 9, the years I moved to Paris and started going to gigs and then putting on. And of course, they were a band that I had on, and they were a really really intense live band.
Hmm.
The singer was also doing baritone sax, I guess.
Right.
And yeah, they were really in your face,
Mm.
noise punk, MRIP sounding French band. And they were really fun to see live, to be around. Quite some, yeah, young and memories there also. And there was like, yeah, this old scene of people from all over France who had like this connection to noise rock in the large term, which is, yeah, I don't know, something I still struggle to know what that means actually. But yeah, loud and live extreme music, I'd say something like that. So yeah, bunch of bands. Some of them I've seen dozens and dozens of times, because you quickly realize that were people that all of knew and played together, and a few labels that, yeah, basically you end up talking to really quickly if you're into that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I have one here. I just quickly drag one out just because I knew I was talking to you, and it's this record here.
Yeah.
And we stayed at the fella's house when I think either the last time we played Paris or the time before, and he gave us his album, and it's decent. And what's interesting to me is it's on 12 record labels.
Yeah. That's, I think that, I mean, it's not really French per se. I think you can find a load of anarcho crust records who do that. Release on a load of small, really small micro labels. But it's true that we do have quite a tendency to that. It's easier, I guess. I don't know. I've never made that jump to do a label stuff.
No, there's a label from Marseille, a label from Tours, Tours. Am I saying that right? Lyon, Paris, Dunkirk, Metz, another one in Paris, Winnipeg in Canada. I've got a feeling there's more than that, but they're not listed. But anyhow, yeah, I think that's pretty.
It's also a good way to make sure you have a tour plan already done. Yeah.
There they are. Yeah, exactly. We've done it. We released our third record came on a Spanish label and an Irish label. We did it in England, and there was an American label. So we toured Spain and we toured Ireland.
Yeah,
because it was perfect.
clever way of doing it. Actually, I think the last French record I picked for the French bit of the talk is released on 5 records, which is
just 5.
Just 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this one.
Okay, well,
it's by Sheikh Anorak, and the album is called Keep Your Hands Low. And it's not a decade old, but 2013, 12. I'm really bad with dates. I picked that one because Sheikh Anorak is not a band. It's one guy who released loads of stuff. And I picked that record because it's a really lovely record. It's kind of post-punkish, experimental music with a really strong pop feeling. There's some tunes that you can really sing along to it, which is not always the kind of record
I can imagine you singing along.
And I picked that record because Sheikh Anorak, which is someone named Frank, actually, has been a musician which has helped me a lot, broaden my taste. Because beside his one-man band project, that can sometimes even shift genre between release. He has done like Mick Bar-esque, Horse Ram or Ocrilim, really repetitive and aggressive guitar stuff. He's actually now in a more like techno or electropop phase. And he's also a really great improv and free jazz player, both on drums and guitar. He did quite a few recordings with people like Weasel Walter or Colin Webster and other people I forgot. He's had dozens and dozens of bands. He's also in a black metal band called Neige Morte.
Right.
So that was someone when I discovered his music. He also has a label which this day only releases his own music, but 10 years ago he was releasing a lot of really different stuff. So yeah, getting to know his music, then his label, then being exposed to his really different projects opened me to like free jazz, black metal, stuff that I never was interested in before. And that's what I really like about like music and talking to people about music,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that you can talk to each other because you like the same thing, but you can also discover different music and records and bands through that interaction that started because you had a common sense or a common, I don't know, ground. But of course everyone is different and has different tastes, and you always end up more, I don't know, open about things. That's one of the stuff that I like about record collecting, is that, I mean, I know people who collects only the same stuff, but I've never understood the appeal. For me, it's about getting to know loads and loads of different stuff, the
yeah,
curiosity of it.
yeah. And do you? Because here's something I think about, like in regards collecting records, or I don't even think of myself as collecting records either.
Mhm.
I'm sort of just owning music
Mm.
essentially rather than collecting records. Um, like, what do you think about collecting records? Like amassing like a lot of like. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. You said something that's really, on the point. I would say I don't use myself the term record collector. I don't define myself like that. I just love music,
Hmm.
and the way I listen to music is on record. I don't listen that much to music when I'm outside my house. I don't stream that much. I even younger. I started with CDs, but I could have easily get straight to MP3. I mean, all of my musical discoveries was through internet, so it would have been more logical, I would say, to go straight to the MP3 because that was before streaming. But I already enjoyed the CDs, and quickly I moved to vinyl because the most obscure rock band I was starting to get into released some of their stuff only on vinyl, so I needed to get the vinyl to get the music. But that was to get the music.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a record just to get the record.
Hmm.
That would be something weird for me. So I don't know. But also I end up like having 10 years of record shopping on the walls in the place I'm living, which is not huge. So of course you start to question that habit. I've actually years ago done something that was, I think, starting to be clever, is that I've got rid of the stuff that I had both on CD and vinyl, because come on, you don't need to have them on several different medias. And during the last months of the pandemic, I also started going really through the shelf to make sure that I had record that I really wanted to listen or still wanted to listen now. So I ended up not giving it that much space. Maybe I've separated 20, 30, 40 records, which
Yeah.
is already something, and started, but it's endless because I started like putting them on Discogs and getting money that was straightly invested in other records. So it's endless.
Yeah. No, I did. I don't. I don't often sell records. The few times I've done it, I've regretted it.
Yeah.
I did. There's a record here, and I'm going to show it because I know you really like the label that it's on. and it's probably my favorite record on the label. And it's a version of the record that I always wanted.
Mm.
It's kind of ridiculous. I had to sell. I had to sell records and make about 80 quid to buy it. I think it was expensive, or maybe I can't remember. But it's US Maple, and it's this US Maple album here, like Long Hair in 3 stages, and it comes in the metal. I don't know if you've got the version, if you're stupid enough to also own this version or not. I don't know, but it comes. It's this US Maple album.
Yeah, which is the version I have.
But it comes in a metal sleeve.
Yeah. So that's the reissue, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think the original version was only in a metal sleeve, I guess. But a different one, I can't remember. I think the cutout was on some side of it, something like that. And you have a CD booklet in the metal parts. I think something like that. So I never had the vinyl until it was reissued, but I didn't go for the full experience. I only took the proper LP like that.
Yeah. And so this goes against everything you've just said in regarding buying a stupid version of and it goes everything against I stand for as well. But because I loved the record so much, I did sell a bunch of records, and it justified. I felt. I'll tell you what I sold. One of the records I sold was Mars Volta. I found that band to be intolerable. I don't know how I ended up with the album. I had this like double album, ended up being worth a lot of money. I got rid of it and got this. So yeah, a ridiculous purchase, but
a great object. It's really a beautiful object, actually.
I'm glad I did it, but like it's silly, and it does go against everything that you just said and everything.
Yeah, about that habit, that even about the colored vinyl and stuff. I mean, I sometimes I will go to the plain black record just because it's like cheaper.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing. Okay, this is an experiment I did recently on. This episode is going to go out after this album's released. So 1,500 of these turned up today on a pallet. Today is, what's the date today? The 18th of May. This is out on the 11th of June. Okay, so it should be out now when this video is uploaded. I did, there's 3 different versions of this, okay, for the nerds. And I did, it's almost as an experiment. I did a load on this color, which is Trans Violet, which is the colored vinyl version that's up for pre-order. I did black vinyl, because you always get some people saying, oh, I want it on black vinyl. And I did clear vinyl for just as a different press to give to the band and shops or whatever. So I only did, so I don't know whether this is going to annoy people. There's 900 of the Trans Violet. There was 100 of the black. Like, I didn't give amounts to say what was what in terms of limited numbers. What one do you think has sold more?
Black?
In no way did the black. No. Like, so far, like this has outsold the black vinyl 10-1.
But was everything at the same price?
No, this is £1 more.
The colored one then
is £1 more.
Okay.
Because it costs more it does cost more to do the colored vinyl. So I was like, okay, we'll just do it. But yeah, so everyone who, like, most people who say they prefer black vinyl are lying. And that was a test. I did a test.
I don't even remember which one I ordered, because I think I ordered 2 from you for a friend and me. So I can't remember if I got 2 black or 1 colored, 1 black, or 2 colored. I'll
look it up. Yeah,
I have done 1 colored for the friend, 1 black for me. Maybe. Okay. I hope. If not, I will feel silly.
But it's weird. Like, people just dive on the colored vinyl. Yeah, if you ask them, they'll say they prefer black vinyl. it's a weird collector world.
Yeah, yeah. I won't dare to say that I'm constant on that stuff.
No,
I
I'm not.
have some colored,
Mm.
I have some black. Sometimes I went for the black because I didn't feel like spending more on the color, and sometimes the record looked nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you didn't get the choice. Also, when you have like special edition for a record shop, that's what you end up with. But I don't know.
No, it's a funny world because I'm the same. I go on about not collecting records and just I like the sounds, but I will. I'm not innocent when it comes to going for the thing that says it's more limited than the other thing or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm very like, I can't help it, and I think that's probably the same for most people. They can't help it, right?
Yeah, it's a human feeling, I guess.
I feel disgusting now. I feel absolutely disgusting. Okay, a record that people wouldn't think that you would like.
Maybe I've said it to all the question, but that's a tough one. It's because I don't spend. I hope I don't spend that much time showing my records off to everyone. So, of course, when there are people at the place, I play music and I try to play music that I think the people there will enjoy. But I got my records mainly to myself, so I don't care. I like what I like.
Yeah.
And I've done a bit of DJing, which is something I really like because mainly it help you listen to your 7-inch, which, if you're honest, you don't listen to that much at home. So that's the main reason I like it, but also because I don't know, it's always great to share music with people, even in that kind of, you're just there to give them some mood to the room, but it's still something I enjoy, and mainly doing it with friends. It's always a bit of fun. So yeah, what did I pick? I picked two, which are record that I will never feel embarrassed about having them here.
Okay, I don't think I'm not. There's no such thing as guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I
That's not kind of
totally
what I
agree
mean.
with
It's
that.
more like, okay, everyone knows that Victor likes whatever terminal cheesecake or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're famously a terminal cheesecake fan. But like, you know, you also like Beethoven or whatever, you know.
Yeah, so I actually picked a record by a French singer, which is called Colette Mani. The album is called Repression. I remember that I actually bought that French record in Portugal because to get back a bit to what I said earlier, being a teen obsessed with like indie, noise rock, American bands, that there was something that I kind of skipped as a French person, is to listen to French singing music. For years and years, I was really snobby about it, listening to mainly English singing band, even in the French band that I talked earlier about, Café Flèche, Cheikh Anorak, Elio Gabal. They maybe Elio Gabal or Cheikh Anorak has some songs in French, but they are mainly English singing artists. And loads of bands from, I don't know, all over the world are English singing artists.
Why would a French band sing in English? What, in your opinion?
I don't know. For me, it would be because they're trying to do music in the style of bands that happens to be English singing band. So I think there is this idea that if you want to sound like a 90s indie rock band, you have to sing in English.
Right.
And also, I think I can't talk from my perspective because I do play guitar, but I've never tried the singing stuff and to write lyrics and stuff. But I think that it also puts more distance when you're trying to write not in your own language. You have to maybe, I don't know, work harder to make sure that this works. But yeah, I mean, that's my answer, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure there is one answer to that question. There is actually a French band which I love, which is called Shub,
Right.
which is an English singing band, but with a really thick French Southern accent. You can hear through the English language. So that's a really unique thing. So yeah, I don't know. So I ended up being one of those people that don't listen to French singing music because blah blah blah. I love indie rock. I love loads of stuff that are singing in English, and yeah. So I was like, French singing music is not music for years, and of course that was a young and dumb person saying that, and I ended discovering mainly through Amandine, my girlfriend, who opened me to amazing French singer like Barbara or Adam Bachung, which was one of the few French singing artists I kind of liked because of being something that my mother listened to a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, ended up with someone like Colette Mani,
That
which is
record looks excellent. It looks.
yeah, it's amazing. I would be really interesting to have someone that don't get the French singing to yeah. If you get to listen to it, you have to let me know. Colette Mani is really special. She's not well known here in France. She started in the 50s, actually doing. She's also a guitar player, which is also not common in the like French singing, like what we call variété, which is all mainly about singer, and singer are really rarely musician in that type of genre. She was also a guitar player, so she started doing like covers of American standards, singing in English.
Yeah.
And quite early, she shifted to protest songs in French at the early 60s. And the years going by, she radicalized even more in the lyrics and in the music. She ended up in the 70s working with loads of like great free jazz French players. That record is actually with Bar Phillips, and yeah, loads of François Tusk, loads of great free jazz French musicians. So it's a quite, yeah, those records from Colette Mani are always really quite intense to listen to because the music can be really in your face and the lyrics is really political. She was a radical left-wing woman, and so yeah, she kind of picked a branch that would of course avoid stardom. And yeah, I guess she was maybe even a bit DIY before DIY existed. So
a lot of jazz was.
yeah,
A lot of, especially like the private press jazz sort of
yeah,
Sun world. They
of course.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know anything really about French singers like that at all. So it's really interesting. Other than like Serge Gainsbourg or something. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even talking about French singing music, I of course picked a rather extreme example.
Yeah, good. I would not expect anything less. So the last subject I have is regarding the 10-inch record.
Sorry, I just remember I had a double answer to the previous
Double
question.
answer. Go for it.
Because also one of the stuff that usually you know me, you know I love Chimp and HColossus and Fugazi and Jesus Lizard and blah blah blah. But I also have a really strong taste for dance music, edgy and a bit experimental dance music. But I do enjoy some like weird techno music or experimental electronics or even like stuff I could dance to. So I picked that Shit and Shine EP, which of course used to be a noise artist, has doubled into noise rock and stuff. But that song's got it's might be one of my favorite like party song. It's You Were Very High, where we mixed like a Rihanna sample and a Black Sabbath harmonica sample with like so cool and weird funk bass lines and stuff. The song is amazing, and I got the pleasure to see him play in Paris. I was weird memory because that was Sonic Protest. That was a gig that took place at the, I think, American Cultural Center, which is like a beautiful place in the 16th quarter, which is a really posh area of Paris that none of my friends and I used to go there. You never go there unless you live there, but then I don't know you. And the gig was in this beautiful, like huge windows that were, you could see the Seine and the Eiffel Tower, not the scenery you imagine an experimental gig to take place. And I was going to the gig with quite some friends, and some of them I've never seen Shit and Shine before, and I haven't seen quite some times. I know that the guy is putting so much music out that you can rarely expect him to play something on a record that he released even not that long ago, but usually he'll release something and the next thing will be different. So I expected the gig to be some stuff I didn't know, and I was really keeping telling to my friends that I'm sure the gig will be great, but don't expect the hit, because that's not the guy who played the hit. And he played it midway through the gig, so we were like really crazy because it was so fun, and the version of it was really cool, and it was in that weird place to dance to weird dance music. So I picked the record not per se for the record, but to say that I do enjoy dance music, but I hate most of the place that you can hear dance music to, mainly in Paris, but I guess kind of the same in great cities. I'm not a club person, and there are some people I'd love to see live, but I don't want to wait till 4 a.m. in a place where most people are drinking 10 euros beer or partying on weird party drugs, which I have nothing against. It's just not my gig.
No. That's so. But you said earlier that you wouldn't consider that you liked 10 Point Never, apart from that soundtrack. Have you checked out his really early stuff? Because
not that much.
No, because I say he's not like a. Well, no, it's not like his early albums. You wouldn't dance to them so much, but they're like really beautiful sort of electronic soundscapey things. There's a 3 CD box set of the first 3 albums called Rifts. It's really it's lovely. Like it's really nice. Like you know, you could like it. I think. I know that he moved on to. He's like now on Warp, and it's a bit. He's different now to what he was. But early on, you can see. Okay, so early on, you can see why he is now doing soundtracks.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff in the middle, you wouldn't particularly. I don't think of him as doing soundtracks, but the early stuff you possibly would. Yeah, I don't know. And apparently, he's named after. Is he? Oh God, I could be wrong here. Is he part like Russian or Polish or something? I could be getting it wrong, but I think the band name or his name comes about from mishearing a radio station when he lived in America as a young kid.
Okay.
So I don't think his family's American, so I hate to get it wrong, so but I think it might be Russian. I'm not sure, but they thought so it was saying 106.7
Ah.
the radio station, and they heard it as 106.never,
Mm.
and I think that's how he got his name, which I think is kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So 10-inch records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I actually really like.
Cool.
It's going through them, I realized that I think I have like 2 wooden box of wine that I used to put them in because it's a perfect size. I didn't count them, but I might have around the hundreds. So, and I end up pinging several. I'm sorry, maybe it's cheating, but I actually saw that the easy answer for me was already taken, because you asked me what's my favorite 10-inch, and I would go for Fresh Breath, by Shorty on Skin Graft, and I seen it mentioned already, and for the sake of diversity, I couldn't give the same answer. Then the natural number 2 would be the Country Teasers, which I think has again been brought up. So, and maybe I've missed it, and I guess it must have been brought up. But then the natural third would be Slates by The Fall.
Yeah, cool.
But I'm almost sure that
it might. I'm not sure it has. I think it might be mentioned, but I don't know if it's been.
So yeah, that's an amazing album. I think that's an album on that weird format, which is not the only weird format The Fall has used for an album, because I think the last one was released as a double 10-inch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorites Fall record. It's great. That's a reissue because I think it's the original is going for.
Yeah.
Stupidly high. But yeah, I was like, okay, people of course have great taste on your YouTube channel, so I've been crossed. And then I picked other 2 because again, to talk about French bands, that's a 10-inch by the band called Desi Cobra.
Right.
Which is the only record they did, which is a band that's composed of people that have been hugely active in the scene of math, experimental rock music, noise, blah blah blah. In France, 10 years ago, there is a keyboard, there is a bass, there is a drum. Weirdly, the liner notes mention words and lyrics by someone, but it's an instrumental record. So I don't know what's going on there.
Radical.
Or maybe there is some singing in one of the 6 songs, but live, I think they've always been an instrumental band. And yeah, so the bass player has done many projects. He was mainly the guitar player in another great French band called School Bus Driver.
Okay.
The drummer was the drummer of a band I mentioned earlier called Shub. Yeah. And the keyboard player, she was involved in loads of stuff, was also for a long time a music writer at some different magazines, mainly Noise magazine, which is a French magazine not only about noise. And yeah, so they've always been really active, and I really liked that moment where the 3 of them came together and did that. It's a weird record. It was a weird band because the keyboard is I mean, you really hear piano. It's not like suicide in your face keyboard trying to emulate guitar bass sound. It's really a weird piano sound doing arpeggios and really beautiful melodic lines. Whereas the drum and bass is kind of really 90s Chicago noise rock style. So it's kind of a weird mix up, but the record is really good, and I have really good memories of seeing them live.
Cool.
And because I don't know, never was satisfied by not being able to pick Shorty or Country Treasures. I had to pick a last one, which is that 10-inch by Mosquito. Sorry, the label is not right in place, so you can't read Mosquitoes.
Cool.
Which is, I think, their first or second release that was re-released this year. They're a British band, and I think, one of the most recent band I've been really obsessed about, trying to find everything they got, because they have that weird, eerie sound that, makes me go kind of crazy. Right. Between, I don't know, the Dead Sea and Sightings and stuff. I wish I could see them live, but I'm not even sure they're really frequent live band. No, it's kind of hard to find information about them, so I don't know.
I don't think I know them. Yeah, I don't think I know them. I don't think I know them.
Really?
No, maybe not.
They're a three-piece. I think it's guitar, bass, drum. You could say there is singing, but it doesn't sound like singing. Experimental mumbling would be close to the truth, I would guess. So yeah, and then their records are, it's weird because they released a few 12-inch, some I just got like a week ago that was just released by a Belgian label, but they never released a proper album, because it's always like 12-inch are at 45 round per minute, so it's much more EPs. It's really a weird band, and that 10-inch is 3 songs on the A side, 2 songs on the B side, and I picked it because it's actually the most recent 10-inch I got.
Cool.
Which I got this year, and I always end up realizing that the records you prefer are sometimes the records you are currently listening to.
No.
I think it must have to do with the way I don't know, arrange the records, but it's true that when I get a record, I tend to leave it by the record player for quite a while, because before it goes on a shelf. So
no, I'm the same. Yeah. I'm the same. I have a box. I got a box by my record player with about 60 or 70 records in that are like either the most recent or some old thing that I need to start listening to again for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The special little currently now playing section. Yeah. Okay, I need to check that Mosquitoes band out. I don't know them at all. It's really weird.
So you've never heard about them?
I don't think I have. So either I'm completely out of touch, or I'm massively out of touch. It's one of those.
I think that, first time I heard about them must have been on a Quietus review, something like that. Yeah. And I realized when I found it that all their records were sold out. I think at that moment they had 3 records out. So again, this one, the 10-inch, is a reissue of, I think, their first 12-inch, something like that. And there was no streaming of the first 2 or 3 release, something like that. It was only when they released, I think, their 4th on Ever Never, that there was a Bandcamp and I could listen to the music and then buy the records and buy the following ones. I think they have like 6 or 7 records on different format. They have the 7-inch, some stuff like that. And it's, always an extremely compelling listen, because from records, it's always the same sound, but on one, they will go to really short, like 1 or 2 minute song. And then the next one will be like 2 10-minute stuff. So it's, really, I don't know, fun to listen to in a weird experimental way.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I look forward to checking it out. Definitely. Do you have any other records you want to talk about or show?
My stack is done,
Your
but
gone.
it's not like there are not records around. But I guess I answered the questions.
Yeah, no. Oh, you really did. Yeah. So, yeah. So you're back to work tomorrow. Tomorrow
Yeah.
is the 19th of May.
Yeah.
Cinema is reopening again. You're back doing
Mhm.
your cinema work. You
Yeah.
may or may not put shows on. You're yet to decide.
I don't know, and then we are reopening cinema. Cafe, bars, and restaurants are allowed to open, but only outside tables. And it's a really shitty weather these days
Yeah,
in
it's been
France.
raining
So
here.
cinema people are glad because that's a great weather to go to cinema. But that weather is fucked up if you want to have a drink outside.
I think for us, I think France in particular, once the pandemic's finished, once the COVID stuff's over, I have a feeling that France is still a place that UK bands can get to without too many problems. I think there's been some form of vague agreement between the governments to allow post-Brexit UK bands to come and play. That's not the case.
I hope. Yeah.
I think, unless I'm massively mistaken, and someone can please mention below, I think France is still good. So I know for a fact that we can't wait to come back and play. So I'm hoping that's
I'm
probably
really
the same for
looking
everyone.
forward to it.
Everyone's probably bursting to come and play. Oh no, the last time we played in Paris was on that boat, wasn't it? I forgot. I forgot we played on the boat with Part Chimp and Nod.
Le Petit Bain. Yeah, but I wasn't there because I was there the day after in Brussels.
Yes, correct. You was at Magasin 4. That's it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. For some reason that just slipped my mind, and it was one of my favorite things. But yeah,
Nod is also a British band I put gigs on.
Nod. Once. There you go. Now you're still remembering them. I knew you'd carry on remembering. Did I have a Nod? I had a Nod record here in case it flashed up. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think the gig we did for them was on the tour for that album, which is a crushing album.
Really.
Yes. Live, it was. Oh.
Yeah.
I remember it was Les Instants Chavirés, so of course it was really loud because any band sounds louder at Les Instants Chavirés. But yeah, that gig was really strong. But I think that night in Brussels at Magasin 4 actually was one of the few times where I end the gigs far away from the stage, not being so loud. And they played with Part Chimp and you, and both bands weren't quiet before, but they were crushing. The ears are. It was a bit too much, actually.
It was very, very loud. Yeah. Actually, I must admit that gig in Magasin 4 was possibly the busiest I've ever seen that place.
Really?
Cool. It was really, really, like, it felt absolutely packed. It was really excellent. Like, like 500 people, sort of a good amount of people.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember it.
Yeah, it felt like quite a moment, actually. It was really excellent. Anyhow, thank you very much for doing the chat, Victor.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
It's really good to see you. I cannot wait to come over and see you again.
Yeah, I hope soon.
Yeah, it'd be good fun. See you, Antoine, the gang. Be cool. So we're going to wave goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop the recording. And then afterwards, we can just quickly say goodbye in a more civilized manner. Okay?
All right.
So wave. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.